Okay, so welcome to another version of the TFA Tech Forum. So this week I'm going to talk a little bit about the OpenCI work that we've been doing for the TFA project. It's not going to be a deep technical dive at this stage, on what developers need to do to make use of this. That will come at a later session. So this is very much a sort of an introduction and the current status of the rollout of the OpenCI. Happy to take questions, and on that we've got a couple of folks from Linaro who have been implementing a lot of this for us as part for trustedfirmware.org. Leonardo and Baffy on the call to help with any questions that people may have. Mute a few people. You should be able to unmute yourself later. Yeah, without much further ado, let me start the session and get one of my cats out of the way. Right. So for you probably everybody's heard some references of yes, I'm just checking my recording's going. People have probably heard some reference of something called the OpenCI that has been ongoing, and this is something that where we want to provide a continuous integration system in the open rather than on ARM servers for the consumption and the use by the project community. And selected the screen. Yeah, so currently the continuous integration system is very much something that's run from ARM servers, and that causes a few challenges that we have on allowing the sort of the broader community access to not only invoking the CI but also reading the results. And so it's been a goal for a while now to try to migrate as much as possible of this to the OpenCI, or as part of a system where the community at large has a lot more visibility into the results and invocation. And really, it's been a bit of a barrier having it all within ARM servers for a while because it slows down the processing of patches, and it also doesn't provide a great way of for the community to extend the capabilities of the OpenCI, and that's something we always wanted to do. And it's, as I said, it's something that's very much we've been living with when the project was very much an ARM project as opposed to as it is now as a trustedfirmware.org open governance project. But I think we've reached a point now where we can share a bit more information about the state of this. So so the OpenCI system solution has really been a migration of a lot of the ARM CI that we've been running behind the ARM firewall, but onto trusted firmware, Linaro hosted servers. And it's not complete. It is going to be something that is going to come in a number of phases, but I think we're probably reaching the point where soon we can start using it in action for day-to-day work. So this is work that's been funded as part of the trustedfirmware.org board budget. So the trustedfirmware.org board meets, and with the memberships fees, it's got a budget that it can allocate for various pieces of work. And a lot of this work, a lot of this budget, not just for TFA, but on other projects, is currently being spent on providing OpenCI solutions for the different projects. And in this case, what we're talking about today is the work that's been done for the trusted firmware A-class work. It's been redesigned to a certain degree to allow it to be more secure and sort of more available for public use or public access, as opposed to something that was very much designed as within a company's intranet. So it's slightly different how it's been implemented in the underpinnings than what we had in the ARM-CI, but a lot of the interfaces will be very familiar to the ARM people who have seen them. But of course, a lot of you on the community, this has been something where you've relied on ARM people to kick off your CI and then tell you what failed, and we want to get away from that, and allow the community to kick CI builds and jobs off, and also see the results directly without having to rely on people to be middle persons to pass things across. Yeah, so what the hope is that all this will lead to a bit more of a transparent reporting of what's passing, what's failing, what sort of tests are being run, which perhaps will give a little bit more confidence perhaps to people who consume TFA on what type of testing is done as part of a continuous integration system. All the scripts and Jenkins jobs which we rely on to drive this CI are now available in open source repositories alongside various other repositories that we've got, like the main repository for the firmware, the TFA tests, and so on. So if partners or contributors wanted to take this and replicate aspects of it internally, hopefully the ability will be there, because we're sharing everything that we have here. So what are the current OpenCI capabilities? Well, there's probably three main jobs that we run that have that people refer to. We have the daily. Sorry, there we go. We have the daily CI job that runs on the integration branch. So very much run about, I can't remember what the time is, but I think it's in the early hours UK time. A job will be kicked off to run a whole load of tests across the current integration branch to see if there's any failures that might be occurred. The hope is, of course, that integration always stays valid and no failures, but occasionally changes go in that do break the builds and break some of the tests, and these are the types of things that we may bring to people's attention. The other two jobs are based around the Gerrit labels, the CI +1 and the CI +2. They're sort of known as level 1 and level 2 jobs. Level 1 is just a relatively small set, and level 2 is all of it, everything in level 1 plus a few additional tests. However, it's not the full test that we run in the daily, which is why occasionally some things can slip past these CI jobs on patches under review, and we have to keep an eye on the daily to make sure things haven't been broken. We've relied very much on Jenkins and Lava to coordinate the building and the testing of jobs. Although there's only those sort of three that most people will see, there's lots of sort of sub jobs behind the scene being used to sort of construct the CI, because each one of those daily and L1 and L2 are actually multi jobs. I've got a little bit of a demo later that makes that a little bit more apparent to people. Yeah, so it's like all CI systems, there's a sort of the workings underneath, and then there's the views that people look at to get the results. Some of the things that we're testing, so there's some static analysis checking that goes on. Some are run from scripts that we have that we do and run across the source code to identify things. We also have a job that kicks off a Coverity build. So as people may or may not know, the Coverity is made available to open source projects. Depending on the size, determines how many free jobs that you can run each day. I think we currently, the size of our project, we can run 2. So unfortunately, we can't run the Coverity job for the L1 and L2 tests because every patch that's submitted we would soon run out. But we do rely on these for the to be run on the integration branch once a day. We also make heavy use of FVPs, the emulation models made public from ARM to do various different testing, for different CPUs and other different IP capabilities. And we also make use of the ARM Juno boards as test targets as well, which is at this moment in time our only physical board that we have. All the other tests and the majority of tests are all tests around different FVP models. Already shared in some other sessions is the TFA test repository. So a lot of our tests are coordinated, different builds of TFA tests, different builds of TFA on a variety of different FVP models to run those tests to test the capabilities that TFA offers. And alongside that, there's various boot tests that we do. So we try to go from cold boot all the way through to a Linux prompt, for instance, to check the sort of a system build type configuration. There's also builds in all there for every platform that we have. This one of the requests when platforms are submitted that we have a way of building them. However, because we don't have, or the ARM never had the different platforms that for the upstream platforms, there's no runtime tests for these, and that is an opportunity for the OpenCI to be extended by you the contributors with your platforms if you want to include them in the OpenCI. So what's the current status? So the current status is that it's not quite ready yet for day-to-day use. It's undergoing sort of commissioning. So a lot of the infrastructure is there now and running, and I can start showing through that. There are still some minor bugs and minor issues that we're still working on to make sure the performance is up to the levels that we want. And also, other fixes for things that are not quite working exactly how we need at the moment. But there's enough there for people to start looking at this and sort of starting to get familiar. At the moment, the ARM CI is running in parallel with the OpenCI, but as the OpenCI gets commissioned, we'll start turning off aspects of the internal CI. I say aspects because at the moment, as I hinted at earlier, it's coming in phases, and there's still some capabilities running the ARM CI that's not yet available in the OpenCI. But that's for things like some models that aren't yet made public. I think there's a roadmap for them to be made public, but for now, we'll continue running them internally. I think I've got a slide on this. Yeah, so yeah, so actually it's bullet 3 there. There's some missing FVPs and some other test enablement that we need to do. Internally, we also have a Windows build server, because not everybody uses Linux as their build platform. However, that's not available yet. It's on the backlog at different priority levels to provide that. We have a code coverage system, which I don't think we've spoken much about in the community, and that's probably an ideal subject. Oh yes, we did. We did a tech forum session on this. I recall now. So that is integrated into the ARM CI, but it's a missing piece from the OpenCI that we hope to have at some point. And we also have some other sort of quality metrics tracking, gathering jobs that are currently missing. So there's a number of things missing, but there is a big amount of a large amount of the CI is available. We intend to have more developer guidance and documentation, and as I said, possibly further tech forum sessions on day-to-day use and what people should click in detail to get them familiar. And as I mentioned, the OpenCI, as it stabilizes, the ARM CI will be decommissioned and will sort of disappear from the workflow. I also mentioned that partner platform testing, it's a great opportunity for contributors of platforms in the upstream to engage with us and the trustedfirmware.org project to get those platforms into the Lava system to allow further testing on those platforms for every change. So hopefully that might be viewed as some benefit if you've already upstreamed your platform, that you get some testing upstream. A few references. Again, the recording and the slides will be made available. So the CI is actually public. If you went to the ci.trustedfirmware.org, you'll see the CI systems. There's currently no links, I don't think, from the main project page, but if you guys went there, you'll be able to see it as it's starting to be deployed. You'll see TFA there, and TFM have also started deploying their OpenCI. You also get access to the CI system through the Gerrit reviews. So whenever L1+1 or CI+1 or CI+2 are added, currently it kicks off both the internal ARM CI and also the public CI. I think eventually we'll probably separate those two so that more people can have access to kicking off the CI. Probably based on the maintainers list, for the different code owners and the maintainers. But that's something, some aspects that we still need to sort out. And there's links there to the repositories where the TFA scripts and the TFA jobs are available. The jobs are primarily the interface into Jenkins, where the CI scripts are sort of more closely tied to the code base. As I said, I plan to do a quick brief demo walkthrough on some of the pages to give people a view, but has anybody got any questions at this point? Okay, not hearing any. I'll proceed with a.
Hey, hi, Varun here. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I've got two questions. One is about the Coverity licensing model that you have right now. I understand that you use a freely available version of the Coverity scan. So are there any plans to move to a better version of Coverity where you can have more instances running, and so that you don't run out, and then that will help us maybe add more platforms, more scans in the future.
So actually we have two versions. So we at the moment ARM does run a more internal version that's got a lot more jobs, and of course we can run as many as we time, and sometimes we report on errors that produces. The public one is, as you say, very restrictive, but it is free. So to migrate to a more public, either Coverity or another static analysis tool that covers especially things like Misra, so the public version doesn't cover Misra, is something that's on it's not actually listed there, but that's another future item that I think needs to be considered. And of course, that would need to be paid for from the budget that allocated to us, because you would need licenses to do that, as opposed to making use of a free version. unless we can find a free version that does things like measure checking. Although I think everyone I think I've seen has some degree of licensing around it. It's a product. So to answer your question, I think we would like to do that, but that hasn't been finalized and exactly how that can occur.
Right, and I can add a little more. This is Don. I can add a little more to that in that we've been talking to Coverity for their paid subscription model. They aren't real interested in supporting in an open source environment because they do it on a per user basis, so they have no way to control it. So they have no way to control that. So we're still looking for options.
Okay, thanks. The other question is about adding more platforms to the CI system. I think in the past there was some discussion around hosting the platforms at partner sites instead of having them at the ARM site. So have you made any progress on that or any other discussions around that area? I mean, it's okay to host platforms at ARM, but I can see that there might be some maintenance issues that ARM might have to handle. So if they are at partner sites, then maybe the boards can be better managed.
So I guess the big thing there is that they're not hosted by ARM, they're hosted by Linaro, who hosts the trustedfirmware.org. So that is one way of doing it. And I think there is, I can't remember what they call it now. I think it's the federated lava, I think, is the other way that you refer to, where partners or contributors can host the boards on their own sites, but federate them into the OpenCI system. I don't know, Don, if you've got any more details on how that's achieved.
Yeah, that federated or remote labs isn't currently going to be supported. So the only place will be in the Linaro Lava Lab, and that's budgeted in to add member hardware into that. So that currently it's going to be a local lab hosted by Linaro.
Right.
And there'll be requirements for each member to kind of do some qualifications with their hardware and, make sure it's all working and everything. And then we'll be dropping it in, prioritized with all the other work.
Okay. So a partner who's not on the board can still host their platform with the Lava platform at Linaro?
It'll be for paying members.
Oh, it will be for paying members. Okay. So yeah, so I mean, definitely the other question is then how do other members get on board?
Just got some question about your future evolution. You didn't list here potentially the way to also test OptiOS using also TF-ATEST for testing purpose, SMC calls. Is it planned? Is it something completely out of scope today?
There's probably not something in scope for the TFA project, but the Opti project, I believe, are got plans in that front. I'm not fully aware of them. I don't know if Don, as you're on the board, that you've seen any of them and what might happen on the Opti side. No.
So as the team lead of the ARM Opti team, we have some plans to put in a CI for Opti and trusted services for TF-org, but the time plan is unknown yet.
So I guess it's not out of scope. It's just sort of parts of a different.
Another project. Okay, clear. So what's I would say the aim of the testing purpose of the TFA? Is it for the BL1, BL2? Is it for the secure services only? Is it all the different levels?
It's all the different levels. So as I said, we did some system type testing, trying to go from power on to a Linux prompt, which of course goes through all the the BL1 etc. Up into a running system. So we try to, as part of the TFA test, which is already open sourced, been available for a while, to make use of that repository, or we do make use of that repository as part of the CI testing.
Okay, so that means you have a full system that you will share with the different, I would say, partners to know exactly how to manage the different boot storage and different way of working for their board, how to flash, how to boot.
Yeah, so that, I mean, the primary real single board that physical board that we have available is, of course, the Juno board. So that all those the details for that will be available. But there's also various platform FVP models for different platform models that are available. I don't know, Manish. Yeah, Manish. Do you have, from the solutions team, do you have anything to say from what the solutions team in ARM does and how we test platforms?
So in TFA CI currently, the level of testing are the first level is just building platforms, not booting them. So most of the partners platform currently are in level 1 of testing. ARM platforms, which are developed apart from FVP and Juno, there are some platforms which are part of L2 test, where they are tested on, again, some version of FVP, which is specific to that platform. But there is no partner platform yet in the system, in the CI system, which is tested till boot. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I understand that you don't have any partner yet. I'm mostly trying to understand how, like a partner, we can ensure that we will be able to integrate your testing farm, in fact, with our board. What are the requirements regarding our hardware to be sure that it will be available on your side? And is there any cookbook, in fact?
Yeah, so I think that was the previous discussion, the previous question which was answered. Like Linaro has their own lab, Insight Lab, where, for example, Juno board is currently hosted. Then in the similar manner, partner platforms can be kept there and hosted, but I don't know the process, the detailed process.
Okay, but it should follow the same.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll do a brief run through of the UI.
Hey, sorry, quick question, right? Just to expand on what Varun was asking. So the partner platform testing is only to get integrated with, say, the Linaro infrastructure is only for paying members. Did I understand that right?
Yes, I think that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe I can expand a few things about this part. So the hardware farm is managed by Lava, and Lava has two ways to connect devices. So as has been mentioned, paying members may be able to host their hardware into Linaro's lab. However, there's another option, which is the remote labs. So members of the Trusted Firmware project can host their own lab and just grant access to the remote lab, so we can get access to the boards and run tests on them. That's the other option.
But we currently don't support that in the solution.
Yeah, at the moment we don't have provided any remote labs to the Trusted Firmware project, but that's another technical venue that you can.
And that might be available in the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm going to end the show and go to let's see now. So as I said, at the moment, there's no links from the Trusted Firmware A project page. I suspect at some point in the future, there will probably be a link or something somewhere from the main site. But it's very easy to find that if you go to ci.trustedfirmware.org, you'll get to this page. And as you can see here, we've got the TFM jobs, and here we've got the subset of TFA jobs that are running. And remember, I spoke about three main jobs. So you've got the daily, which is, as I said, it runs every day at in the early hours of the morning UK time, and as well as some Gerrit jobs for L1 and L2. You probably won't go directly from this page to the Gerrit ones. I'll show you them a quick how you would get to them directly. But in the daily page, what you can do, if I do it in a new window, you will get to a page that shows, as I said, we run a Coverity job, and we also run another job called TF main, which has a lot of jobs in it. So if I click on that, you'll see an interface like this that gives an indication of loads of different jobs that are running currently. If it's red, something's fouled somewhere in the system. But for the sub jobs, I think all these are passing. Blue is success, not green. And what you can do is you can click through. So I remember I said there's some static checks. So if you click on there, you can look at the artifacts and the log files. So for instance, you click through there, and you've got access to all the static check output of the last daily. Of course, you're probably not bothered to look at that if it's passing green, but if it fouls, then of course it's quite interesting to go and look at that to figure out what's going wrong. And then there's other groups of classifications. As I mentioned, there's some build jobs, and there's TFTF, which is the TFA tests. Remember I mentioned booting up to a Linux prompt type tests. There's two sets of them. And there's some miscellaneous tests. So I'm not going to go through all of these today. I think that might be quite laborious for folks, and you should be able to go to this page and start exploring. But what happens is if you go through to either the last success or the last foul, you will get access to a little table like this, which may have a single job in it, or it may have a multiple, that gives you sort of different combinations of things. And actually, I've spotted a bug. Actually, that's why it's done that. Yeah, these should be different. At the moment, they're taking you through all to the same one. This was live demos, eh? So this was all working previously. Let's see if I can look at another one. Yeah, so here's another example of one of the other jobs. You can see here a whole load of actually it's all the different L1 build jobs that go in there, and you can see whether things are success or failed. If you click again on the success, it takes you through to other pages that have got artifacts, the build logs, and the other artifacts that have been built. And all these different jobs again will take you through to different tables that show you different combinations of jobs that have been run, which is all tied together or in different build options for TFA tests, and different FVPs that are going to be used. So the other way of accessing the CI is through Gerrit. So for instance, this is a patch that's currently in review, and a little bit earlier you can set off the CI by putting +1 and +2. So at the moment it's only ARM people are able to do this, but directly we'll probably open this up to for the OpenCI to, as I said, the maintainers and the platform owners to be able to kick off the CI on their platforms. For the ARM CI, unfortunately, it has to stay ARM only people because it crosses the ARM firewall, and we need to comply to our company's security. The reason it's not open to everyone is because we don't want sort of denial of service. If this was anybody could press this, of course, people could come along and be doing job after job after job on the Linaro servers, and that would be an attack vector on the infrastructure, and we don't want to do that. But of course, trusted people that are listed in the maintainers file as maintainers or platform owners for the different platforms, I think we can trust that they will not cause errors or cause attacks. So I did one earlier. So I didn't allow +2, and as you can see, there's actually 2 jobs that started off. There's the OpenCI one, and yeah. So this is the internal ARM one that's been set off, but the Linaro or the OpenCI one is available, and you can click through to that, and you get a very much a similar view. So remember what I said: level 2 jobs runs all the level 1 plus some additional tests, and again you can click through on these and see different jobs that have been run. So the interface is reasonably similar. So here we go. We got an example here of different types of tests with a different TFA build config, TFTF, the test suite build config, and the run config with the different FVPs that we've got available for us to run these on. So there's a combination here that we use. And again, you can click through, success to look at the build artifacts. Lava log takes you through to serial console information. So as I said, Lava is used to not only control the board farm from a physical board, but also the FVP models that also have serial consoles connected to them, and you can check what's going on, and if there was a failure, you might want to look at this, of course, to examine what may have failed. Let's go back. Yes, and then you've got various other artifacts available, build logs, debug information, and debug builds, and so forth, binaries. So that is, and a lot of these pages are very, very similar type of access to the artifacts. What I think we plan to do is probably do a more deep dive session on how to read this, what the combinations of all these different jobs are, and to help people navigate. But what we wanted to do a session today is introduce the concept of the OpenCI and what we want to try to achieve, and also give you access to the interface. As I said, it's in commissioning phase at the moment, so we're still fixing the rollout jobs as minor areas of issues before we make it more usable day to day, and start disabling the TF the ARM CI that does exactly these jobs as well, and some more actually. The ARM CI, as I said, there's no Windows build, and there's some other things that I'm currently missing from the OpenCI, but they're for the future as and when they're approved and prioritized and funded. But for now, as you can see, there's quite a lot of tests running. I did mention that some of these FVP models aren't available at the moment because they're still private in ARM, but there's a rollout over the coming weeks, month or so, that they become public, and then when they become public, they can be incorporated into the OpenCI, and those tests that are currently running in the ARM CI can be moved over and enabled here. I think that's about all I wanted to demo today. Is there any questions, following the UI interface? All right. If there's nothing else on the OpenCI, I will give people the opportunity, if they want to talk about anything that's been ongoing in the archives. We've got a few minutes left if necessary, if anybody wants to talk about any of the things that have been discussed. To remind people, what we try to do is look at what's been published or posted on the mailing list over the last 2 weeks, and you have an opportunity to follow up any of these discussions live if necessary. I'm not hearing anything, so unless there's any final comments, questions, I'll give you back 15 minutes of your day today, and thank you for attending, and hopefully this is of some interest. I will publish these on the Tech Forum website as soon as I can. Right, thank you everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.